Well, hey guys, welcome to Hope Rescue Podcast. It's Kimberly and Tim Scott, and we are sure glad to be with you today on this nice hot summer San Diego day.
Hot summer. It's not that bad.
It's a bit,
outside.
babe, it's hot for us, but it's been terrible for most of the United States.
You know, we're talking about things you should never say to your spouse. But one thing is the ongoing debate in marriage, when should the air conditioner be turned on? When should it not? I think every dad, maybe not every dad, anybody that pays the bills.
All right, so here's what I have to say to that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I feel like anytime there's condensation on your forehead, neck, or other body's parts, kibbles and bits, here's your sign. That would be your first sign. And I also want to say this. In the wintertime, as you have become a more mature adult, you want to crank on the heater starting at 3 in the afternoon because you get very chilly when everybody else is feeling normal. So there's a good, somewhere in the middle balance there.
Yeah, here's the key. Talk about something else.
Menopause and seniors.
Yeah. Yes, the older I get, the more my temperature is an issue.
The older I get, the hotter I get.
Yeah,
so
you're hot, baby. Anyway,
here we are on week 2 of our series on the 10 things you should never say.
Yeah.
Last week you actually kind of carried the weight on that one, talking to husbands about what they shouldn't say to their wives. And this week I'm going to be leading in this one on what wives should not say to their husbands.
Sit back and you do all the talking?
No, babe. Well, you
that'd be something.
Not this week. This is my chance to shine. Are you kidding me?
All right.
I'm used to sitting back and listening to you talk.
That's the truth. I'm a talker.
Bada bing. You never say that to your spouse. So here we go. I want to start with a couple of scriptures as we did last week. And these are so good about the power of the tongue and the impact that words have on our lives. But the first one from Proverbs 12:18. And it says, there's one whose rash words are like a sword or like sword thrusts, but the tongue of the wise brings healing.
Boy, that's
Think about
true.
that. The slashing of...
This is so graphic. Think about it. A sword thrusting into the very soul of the person you're speaking to.
And I think we realize or we discount the weight and the impact and the wounding that words can have, because I think most people would rather be physically cut than they would be to hear some of the things they hear from people they love.
Yeah. It's interesting how when you love somebody so much and they speak wise words to you, as the second part of this proverb says, that it is healing. It is healing to your soul. It's just an incredible thing. Yep. That's a great verse.
It is. And the other verse is 1 Thessalonians 5:11, and it says, therefore, encourage one another and build one another up. So just the opposite effect. Yeah. It's what we need to do.
One of the things in business as well as in family and in church is edification. Yes. It is so important. It just means to build up. It takes effort. It's easy to tear things down. To build someone up is a powerful thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, this one's going to be good. The first one.
If you say so yourself.
So number 1, this is going to be a hot topic because I'll just say that I have some close friends and we have this in common.
Yeah.
And we're tough passengers with our husbands driving. So this number 1 will apply. And maybe it's reversed in your marriage where, the other spouse is struggling, but don't say you're doing that wrong. Don't do it that way. And so in other words, directing your spouse, you're doing that wrong. Don't do it that way. And it may be that you're right, that maybe there's a better way they could go about it. But where this plays out for me and some of my girlfriends is in driving. Because as spouses, we're typically...
I don't think you would ever say anything while I was driving.
Babe, you created this list. So let's talk about that.
I want you to start saying the right things. Don't say that.
Giving driving instructions like get in the other lane, slow down.
Right.
And I will say I am a terrible passenger with my husband.
Okay, let me ask you this question for our listeners.
Yes.
I know the answer. You know the answer. What technique do you use to be able to endure my driving? What do you do to make it work?
Yeah, this is my coping mechanism as I do realize that I have this issue. Now, before I give my coping mechanism, I will say that I have saved us literally countless times in 17 years from disastrous collisions.
Yes, I'm sure
because
that's true.
I did have my eye on the road when he did not.
Well, let me put it this way. I drive every day all the way up in North County to
true.
work,
Yeah.
an hour, and an hour back.
Yeah.
So there's 2 hours on the road minimum. Depending on traffic, it'd be upwards of 3 and even 4 hours.
Yes.
However, I must say, I've not gotten in an accident while
Right.
doing that. And I don't know how I've survived without Kimberly there.
I know, but
to
you
tell
know,
me how to drive.
one of the fun things you do is you always call me on your way home from work, but inevitably someone is cutting you off.
Yeah, it's happened.
So I don't know how that works. But anyway, I recognize it's an issue, and my coping mechanism has been probably for the last 2 years is
more.
when I begin to feel anxious, which happens a lot. I close my eyes, I put my sunglasses on, and I shut my mouth. And I have told him, turn on the music or let's put on a podcast or something, because even when we're talking with my eyes closed, I feel anxious because I feel like he's still going to be looking at me.
There is another, that's the one I was thinking of,
Yeah.
but there's another one I was thinking while you were talking. I was thinking, there's another one we've used is we go in her car, which I never drive. She
Right.
always drives it, and she drives.
And I'll drive, which is, that's money right there.
Yeah.
If that
I'm a
gets
little
happen,
better-
that's my dream.
I'm a little better passenger, although my problem is she's always driving in the slowest lane, and because she is not in a hurry like I am, and I always think, that's where all the cars are merging on and off of the freeway. But, go wherever you want to go.
Well, just to balance the scales a little bit, neither one of us, we both have a pretty flawless driving record. So obviously we know what we're doing. It's just that when we're with each other, we try to help each other a lot to the point of being critical.
We do that with other stuff too.
That's true.
It's not just that. But here's a better way to deal with that. This is a better thing to do is this makes me afraid
Right.
when you drive. When Kimberly says it makes me feel afraid when you drive fast like that. Now I drive the speed
You're a
limit
fast
plus
lane guy.
5 gains, 5 miles. So I stay within 5 miles an hour. We have a son who's a police officer. He
couple
told me
of
you can go
kids.
30 miles an hour over the speed limit. Go
What?
ahead. You have my oh, is that not what
Never.
he said? He never said that. Oh, anyway. But I drive pretty close to the speed limit, but I'm not a slow driver. I'm lickety split.
Yeah.
That's what they call me.
So
Anyway,
we've
so
come
the
up
best
with some
thing to
ways.
say is it makes me afraid when you say it.
Yeah.
That always
Yeah.
moves me.
Yeah. And instead of addressing it like you're doing this wrong.
All right, here's the second thing.
Yeah. Second thing
Never
is,
say to your
is
husband.
why can't you make more money? Oh, that's terrible.
You've never said that to me.
No, because you got your hustle on. So that would be just such an affront. But the truth is most men of the home are doing their best or attempting to do their best.
Yeah.
If there is an issue with laziness, that's something that should be addressed probably through counseling, and that if you want there to be positive results. But to go after them with them not being good providers, that's not good.
Here's the thing that I tell couples. In fact, there have been couples that didn't marry after this counsel. So a woman comes from a wealthy family. Father is very wealthy, very successful businessman. She's marrying a tradesman. He is in a trade, and he's going to make good money, but he's not going to be rich.
Right. You're not going to be daddy.
And the only way they're going to have wealth is to inherit it from the parents. His motive was not to inherit it. He just wanted to live
Right.
simple life like his dad. Same trade. His dad, middle class, had a nice home, nothing great. She grew up in a modest mansion. I mean, it was mansion-like.
Yeah.
And it was a big home. And she liked to spend. Her mother had a huge budget for spending every allowance every week for clothes and whatever. Anyway, when they were dating, I counseled them, you've got to talk through this. Oh, we love each other so much. Yeah, that's great right now. That's not going to work down the road. Anyway, they ended up not getting married for that very reason. She realized she's never going to be happy with the amount of money he makes.
Yeah.
You say, well, that's horrible that you sabotaged their relationship. No, I did. I brought light to their relationship. And I'll tell you this, he got married to a wonderful woman who also worked, and she was a teacher, and they lived wonderful middle class life. They're still together, and I know that woman has been married like 3 times.
Oh, wow.
And she is not satisfied. She was spoiled. That's not to say every rich child gets spoiled. I've known a lot of them that aren't, but she was. And the point being that if you're saying to your husband, you need to make more money, you need to rethink why you're in this relationship in the first place. So you need to work through that. If you're married, it's too late. You need to accept where you guys are in life.
Yeah. The third thing is when you're having a conflict is never say the word whatever. Whatever. It's, used a lot to basically shut down and be able to walk away or emotionally detach. It doesn't help the situation at all. And the consequences of that is it obviously for the spouse causes there to be a complete disconnect and a shutdown emotionally and, physically probably following that. But nobody wants to hear that term, whatever.
Yeah, it just feels so disrespectful.
Yeah.
Like you don't matter.
You don't matter.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's the interpretation. Number 4 is this is the death nail of words to say to your husband, and even from a husband to a wife is, I don't respect you.
Boy, for most men, that is the most destructive.
Yeah.
Destructive thing you can say.
Right. And if you are struggling with respect, I would say have that conversation in a very careful way and don't do a blanket statement. Say, these are the things I'm struggling with and struggling to respect your decision making in this area instead of I don't respect you, because truthfully, we don't always agree with each other and we do things differently if it was us.
We're very thankful because we respect each other
Yes.
in our roles and
Yeah.
what we do. Kimberly doesn't function in my world. I don't function in her world as much. And so, we have a lot of mutual respect.
Yes.
We've been married before, as most of you know, and we didn't have that mutual respect.
Zero respect. Yeah.
But I'll tell you, to have that is to have my wife respect me.
Yeah.
It gives me a safe place to be real and to be flawed.
Right.
So
and
let's
vice
not say
versa.
that, guys, or
Yes.
ladies, to your husband.
Yeah. Number 5, this is a really good one, is the saying, the retort, I'm fine.
Which doesn't mean you're fine.
No, obviously it doesn't. It's another way of shutting down, but you need to be honest. And if you feel like you can't be honest because of fear, you need to go to counseling where there's mediation so that you can address that fear in being able to be honest and why you're not fine. Because, if you're living in a fearful relationship, that's going to shut down your intimacy. And without intimacy, you really don't have real marriage.
I think from a psychological perspective, fear is the driver of saying, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to tell you what I really feel or what I'm really thinking or what I'm really experiencing. And, saying, hey, well, you forgot my birthday. Oh, wow. What can I do? I'm fine.
Yeah.
No, you kind of blew it. You didn't remember the birthday.
Right.
And, she's not fine.
Right.
And so that needs to be worked through.
Why don't you do the next couple?
Yeah. All right. Number 6 is calm down. Same thing. Don't say that to your wife. We said that last time. And that's not a good thing to say to your husband. Most men wouldn't want to hear that. I think women are a little more sensitive to that.
So what if the spouse is,
Out of control?
Passionately out of control? What would be a better approach in your opinion?
Maybe to say something like, I can tell you're upset. So why don't we not talk right now and think about it? Just take some time. There have been some times where Kimberly has said to me, okay, I can see where you're coming from. This is not really good right now. And we end up usually laughing about that because I realize
after some time goes by,
I'm being a jerk. I mean, usually pretty quickly I can see, especially if I can see she's hurt by it. If that's the case, then, it moves me.
Yeah.
But being told to calm down is not helpful. But being told, hey, this isn't working right now, let's talk about it later. I think that might be a better solution.
For sure.
The next one is this. You're just like we talked about this for the other way with saying this to your wife, but saying, you're just like your whoever it is, your boss who's a jerk, or your brother who I don't like, or your dad, or my dad, or whatever. Those things, you don't want to be compared. That's a real struggle. And then the next one is,
I got this one.
Okay. All right, take it.
It's number 8 is, if you want sex, you need to blank. So basically you're weaponizing intimacy in your marriage. A lot of women do this. Counseled a lot of women through the years who withhold intimacy or use sex as a weapon to manipulate, to get the things that they want. And it's just not right. It's not healthy.
Not to brag too much, but you have never said that to me. Not once.
Yeah.
You've never used sex that way, to which I'm very grateful, because that feels like such an important part, even if you're not driven for that at the moment.
Right.
The thought that that's off the table because I'm not good enough,
right?
Or I'm not performing,
or you haven't
well
performed,
enough,
or haven't done something that I asked you to do, like this chore, that chore, whatever, and that can create a lot of toxicity in the marriage.
Yeah.
Number 9 is, I'm not in love with you. Oh. To say those words. And as if you've been in marriage for a while, you know that the feelings of love can come and go. But you should never speak those words of death in your marriage, that I'm not in love with you, because
what does a person do with that?
Right. Where do you go with that?
Yeah.
And this shouldn't be expressed. And if you feel like the love is dying in your heart, which that's a real thing, when you feel like your love, we've been in those marriages where we felt like love was dying. Do your part to what you are capable of doing to work on it and rekindle that relationship, and do it with support of a therapist if that you can get your spouse to go with you. You can't, we know that it takes 2 people to make a marriage work. So if you've done all those things, you've exhausted all those things, acknowledging that you've lost your love for someone in a counseling setting is probably the best way to do it. And give them a chance to gain that love back, or work that, on themselves to be able to recreate that environment. But to just throw that around and just say, I'm not in love with you anymore is a death nail.
Yeah. And you, as you were saying, you may not feel that way at the moment. Love is fragile in a intimate relationship. When you're living together and doing life together, things get in the way of that, emotional connection. The love that you have to have that supersedes the emotions and romance of love is that love that says, I will do whatever it takes to meet your needs, which is the driver for rekindling the emotions of love.
Right.
So I can't make somebody love me, but I can work on my, especially if I have that superior love of commitment, then I can bring back the emotions by rekindling that in my heart.
Yeah, that's good.
So,
and then the last one is this. This goes for both, obviously, but speaking down to someone's intelligence by flippantly saying, "You're so dumb." That is terrible. Yeah,
to anybody, whether it's a spouse or not.
Yeah, and that will apply.
Even if they are dumb.
Yeah. Well, and, dumb is relative, because someone can be, relationally brilliant, but not necessarily, an straight A student. So everybody has their weaknesses and their strengths. So, but to call someone dumb, even joking, I've heard couples say it just as a joke. You're so dumb. That's so dumb. You're so dumb. It's just not good. It's not good.
In the company I work for, I'm the lead, and in that position, I deal with people that, as I supervise them, and as I'm talking to them, and I'm in a room of executives, I'm sitting there realizing that I am not the smartest person in this room. And, that is a really good place to be. When you acknowledge, I know people that I deal with that think they're the smartest person in the room. Nobody wants to be around them. But to have somebody that is actually right there present,
Right.
and to go, that person's smarter than me,
Yes.
at
Yeah.
least in this area.
Yeah.
I've got several people
Right.
that work with me or for me
Right.
that are in fact smarter than
Yeah.
me.
And
And I
that
enjoy-
doesn't make you dumb, though.
No.
That's the point, is that
No.
it doesn't make you dumb.
Yeah. Yeah. So, don't diminish somebody's
Right.
intelligence.
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely. Okay, so here are some things to say to your husband that are good, and we're going to rapid fire these. The first one is, I'm so proud to be with you. That's powerful.
Yeah.
Just, I'm proud to be with you. Like, I'm so
You've
glad
told me
that
that
you're,
many
oh my
times.
gosh, yeah. I'm just so proud to be your wife, or I'm so,
Yeah.
so proud to be with you.
Are you still proud right now?
I'm
Yeah,
proud
okay.
right now.
Okay. All right.
The second thing is thanks for helping with the kids, or thanks for helping around the house. Those are
Yeah.
words that encourage, number one, them to repeat the behavior. Not that you're manipulating them, but acknowledging what they do, and say, it's basically saying, I see you. I see what you're doing.
And let me say something about that, because you do that a lot. You're very grateful. It does make me want to be a better man. When I'm thanked for something that I've done, even small or great, it doesn't matter. It makes me want to do that behavior more, but it also makes me want to improve other areas of my
Yeah,
life.
absolutely. Another one is I choose you. And we talked about that regarding wives as well. Like, I choose you. I didn't just choose you years ago, for us almost 18 years ago. I choose you every day. Like, you're my person and I love you. That's powerful. Another one is I like you. I don't just love you. I like you. I like to be around you, and that is unique and special, because the love is steadfast, but there's something about saying, I really like you, that makes you feel like I want to hang out with you. Like, you're the guy I want to hang out with on my spare time,
We are self-interested most of the
Yeah.
time. Sometimes we don't even like ourselves. And there have been many times where I do not like myself. And for Kimberly to like me is really a powerful thing.
Yeah.
And to say that and to hear that is really powerful to your husband.
Yep. The fifth is you're a great dad, or you're a great provider. Pick the thing that you can celebrate, that you know to be true, and that you see, and that you don't want to take it for granted, but speak those words. Those are amazing things to say. Here's another one. You make me feel safe. And that's huge. Safety in a marriage is huge. We've both been in marriages where there was no safety. And so that's something we recognize as valuable, and we say that to each other. Thank you for making me feel safe. You're in a corporate world now, working with women, working, in that structure. And I have had years of having relationship with you, that you have built an environment of safety in our marriage. And so that's not something I struggle with, because you continually make me feel safe. I hope I do the same for you.
You do.
And then here's another one. You're my best friend, and obviously.
Which is a little weird, because you're like, do you have any other friends? Or wait, she does.
You're just my favorite. And then again, just like last week, our final one would be to say, I'm sorry. Like, ladies, just be honest and be real, and apologize when you know that you have said or done something that's going to create distance in your relationship. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Don't suck up your pride. It's gonna create a chasm by not saying those words that can build a bridge back. Suck up your pride, or whatever it is that's keeping you from acknowledging that you said or did something that was wrong, and just say, I'm sorry, because you're also creating the culture of your home. And if that's something you desire from him, then it's certainly something you should set an example in to not just your spouse, but to your children.
Sometimes when you listen to this podcast, you may think, wow, I already know this stuff. We're not trying to be so unique and profound. We just want to share with you the simple reminders of life, and want to encourage you to be the best spouse you can be, or the best parent, or the best worker, or the best Christian. We're all struggling in life, and we just want to remind you that God has a special purpose and plan for you. I was reminded today by Kimberly is God put you where you are for this season, for this moment, and you're on an assignment. And I need to hear that. It's an important thing to hear. So listen, these are just simple truths. We're Hope Rescue Podcast, and that's what we want to do, is rescue hearts and say there's hope. And God wants to turn everything in your life around so that you can live a life that's full and pleasing to him. God bless you as you consider these things. Be the best wife or husband you can be. Have a great week. We'll see you next time on Hope Rescue Podcast.
Bye, guys.